Ryan McKnight, June 2nd. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. By Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by your local Ford stores. Mariners and the Tigers playing 2 today from inside Comerica Park in downtown Detroit, Michigan. Happy to have you with us, Aaron Goldsmith and Mike Flowers. And Mike, we saw plenty of offense against Jay Happ and the Blue Jays to begin this road trip on the final game of the series. Kyle Seager, Mike, going deep not only once, but twice.
And for Kyle, his first home run off of a left-hander this year. Also playing a little bit of defense early on, sliding catch up against the fence. And then here's the solo home run, dead center field. Kyle showing some power to center, left center these days. So a nice day for Kyle with the grand slam.
It turned out to be a 4-homer game for the Mariners, and this one should count for more than one, Mike.
Well, they usually do when Mike Zunino touches it off. Hits it up over the restaurant, a mammoth home run for Mike. His 6th home run on the year.
Well, they said 431 feet on that home run. Ran out of room. Well, the rain has cleared for the time being. The tarp is off the field. We've got baseball on schedule. Doubleheader, game 1 up next.
Struck him out. Back out to left field. There it goes. There goes Dean. He slides in. He's safe.
Now, good news as some Mariners fans make their way inside Comerica Park here in Detroit, Michigan. We have baseball for you today. We are playing 2 doubleheader. Mariners and the Detroit Tigers after getting washed out last night. The Mariners will be busy. 3 games in the span of 24 hours. We've got some good pitching matchups, including today, as we are all set to go. The tarp is off the field, and it's good to see Dee Gordon at the top of the Mariners lineup, Mike.
Dee Gordon with a couple of days off, back in the lineup. He will lead things up. Gene Segura hitting second. He had 4 hits on Thursday in Toronto. Has his average up to 305 now. Kyle Seager hitting 6th in the lineup. Again, 2 home runs, including a grand slam against the Blue Jays.
Left-handed starter Matthew Boyd up on the mound today for the Tigers in game 1. First pitch missing inside to Dee. Dee, of course, has just been tremendous recently. Last 10 games, Mike, 21 hits, and we could tell that he was ready to go today, wasn't he?
He was ready to go. He was out on the on-deck circle before the Tigers had even taken the field. So a couple of days off, he was anxious to get back in the batter's box.
Boyd ahead 1-2.
For Boyd, fastball, slider, his primary off-speed pitch, curveball, changeup to go with it.
And he strikes out Dee Gordon to begin the ball game.
Pretty good slider. Opponent's hitting just 140 on his slider this year, so you will see the slider a lot, especially with 2 strikes.
At number 1, that brings up Gene Segura. Boyd, maybe some folks back home watching this one today who know Matthew very well. From Mercer Island, went his freshman year to high school there before transferring over to Eastside Catholic in Sammamish. And play over to Jose Iglesias, the shortstop. 2 outs.
And for Boyd, 6 starts on the year, ERA right at 3. He's really pitched well, 26 strikeouts, just 9 walks, so he will be around the strike zone. Opponents hitting 221 against him. And his fastball, 89 miles an hour, and a really good slider. Opponents hitting just 140 off of his slider. Look at the defense. Jacoby Jones will get the start in center for Jose Iglesias at shortstop. One of the better defensive shortstops in the business, and Grayson Greiner will do the catching.
2 up, 2 down. Here is Cano. Showing bunt, looking at strike 1. Now for Boyd, he stayed in the region for college, went to Corvallis, Oregon State. He was a 6th-round draft pick by the Blue Jays after his time as a Beav, drafted in 2013. Boyd was a part of a pretty noteworthy trade between the Tigers and the Blue Jays, part of the David Price deal at the deadline in 2015. So I don't know about you, Mike, but when I was reminded of that David Price deal between the Tigers and the Blue Jays, it was such a blip on the radar for Price north of the border.
Right.
It was almost easy to forget that he was there for a short period of time.
No, I would agree with that. I really think of, when you think of David Price, think of the Rays, of course, and now with Boston. But yeah, it was a short period of time with the Jays.
Slam foul. The lefties have had a very tough time against Boyd. They're hitting 115 against him with just 1 extra base hit. That was a double. Montook in left field, tracks it down, and Matthew Boyd retires the Mariners in order in the top of the 1st. We go to the home half. Doubleheader taking on the Detroit Tigers. Game 1 of what is a 3-game weekend series here in downtown Detroit. As we take a look at the Tigers lineup today.
Mikey Montook will lead things off. Slow start for him this year, hitting just 143, hitting 3rd in the lineup. Nicholas Castellanos, he has been their best hitter, hitting 321 overall. Dixon Machado will round out the 9 for the Tigers. And for Marco Gonzalez, 7 starts on the year, ERA just over 5, 38 strikeouts, 34 2/3, just 6 walks this year for Marco. Opponents hitting .312. His average fastball 90 miles an hour, cutter, curve, changeup to go with it.
His first pitch of the day is in for a strike. You mentioned the walk and strikeout numbers, Mike, and important. Those can almost be overlooked for some reason, but 6 walks in nearly 35 innings is one of the lowest walk rates of any starting pitcher in the game. High chopper, tough hop for Segura, a fastball to first for round number 1.
And a look at the defense for the Mariners. Again, D. Gordon back in the lineup. He'll have to cover a lot of ground, 420 feet to dead center field. You have Segura and Cano playing in the middle of the diamond, and Mike Zunino will catch game 1.
There is Jeimer Candelario, switch hitter, young third baseman for the Tigers. It's because of Candelario that we now see Nicholas Castellanos, who stands on deck, playing out in right field. Castellanos was third baseman before Candelario showed up.
Look at the Tigers lineup over the next 24 hours. Again, 3 games in the next 24 hours, the Mariners and the Tigers. They are 6th in the American League in hitting, 10th in runs scored, last in home runs, 14th in walks. So they're aggressive. They want to swing the bats.
Only the Marlins have hit fewer home runs in all of baseball than the Tigers.
It's a big ballpark. 345 down the line, again 420 to dead center, 330 down the right field line.
Yeah, when Miguel Cabrera was at full strength and really in his MVP primes, those home run numbers were buoyed a little bit by him alone. Cabrera on the disabled list right now. In fact, the Tigers really banged up. Leonis Martin, former Mariner, on the DL also after a hot start. Both those guys dealing with hamstring injuries. And for Martin, he's actually back home in Florida right now, tending to his ailing father. So we hope all things are going well for the Martin family. The 2-2. Runs it full.
One of the things that I thought was interesting with Marco in his last start, and this goes back to a conversation I had with Scott Service probably a few weeks ago now, and he was talking about Marco and wanting him to use all of his pitches. His best pitch is his changeup, and it has been lately. But you look at his last outing, he delivers a 3-2 pitch. He uses changeup 28% of the time, his curve 27, cutter 22, and his fastball 23%. So giving him all equal play in his last outing. I think that's a trend that you're probably going to see a lot. Maybe not quite as much on the fastball. He'll probably use his fastball a little more than that. But he has really mixed it up.
Another 3-2. I was really taken aback if you look at the exact counts, as you mentioned the percentages. Season high 27 curveballs last start for Marco. Same story, season high 25 cutters.
And I think it's a good idea for him to do that, and because he can command them all. Again, in his last outing, when we were just talking about just one walk for him, his fastball command, sometimes he can get in the middle of the plate and that hurts him, especially over his last 3 outings. But his changeup, his curveball have been much better pitches lately.
Now, to be fair, because the numbers aren't always quite what they seem, you know, we're talking about these season high numbers of certain pitches. Pretty noteworthy last start for Marco, 100 pitches.
Yeah.
Only the second time in his career, and most notably the first time since Tommy John. So that's a good step forward for Marco.
That's a good step forward for him, and I think to get him back on track, it was against Houston, I believe, and he ended up throwing 79 pitches. Had worked his way through the lineup as he loses the hitter here. Had worked his way through the lineup with Houston a couple of times, and Scott made a pitching change, went to the bullpen. He had been pitching well in that outing, did not give up a run. Or excuse me, gave up 3 runs in that outing. There was the next outing against Chicago where he did not give up a run. So overall, as you take a look, 9 innings, better than a strikeout.
A strikeout rate much higher than I think any of us would have thought coming into this year.
I would agree with that, and I think, again, it goes back to him mixing things up, which makes his fastball a little bit better. He's able to use his fastball more to the top of the strike zone, late in counts, and that's the reason why you're seeing the strikeout numbers for him. He's been terrific as far as walks go.
Castellanos in towards the corner and foul. You know, at the bottom of that graphic was the BABIP, the batting average on balls in play.
Yes, 400.
400. make anything of that?
It's been primarily on his fastball. His fastball, that's hurt him some. And I think that, again, more so to keep from walking, sometimes when he gets behind in the count, he's going to challenge hitters. And his fastball this year has been about 90. We're not seeing as much 94, which is what we saw at the end of last year. So I think, again, for him to mix it up, be able to use his curveball, get to his changeup to put hitters away, will be a big key for him.
Into left field. Out of the Segura's head. The Tigers have a couple of base runners early. Candelario, who walked, is in at second. Castellanos singled his first time up.
As I mentioned, the Tigers are 6th in hitting. This looks like it's a pretty good changeup. I think it's off the plate away. Maybe not as far down as he would like. 84 miles an hour off the end of the bat. But this is the reason why you want to stay away from the walks with the Tigers. They can pick up some base hits. Not a lot of power for them.
Now James McCann, normally the catcher. Catch game 2 more than likely. DHing today in game 1. McCann has been one of the hottest hitters for the Tigers, at least one of the hottest active hitters, not on the disabled list. 8-game hitting streak for McCann. And a hit in 17 of his last 20. You can see the numbers so far this month. They've been off the charts for McCann. Marco, wow, clip in the corner, but rule ball 2.
Pretty good changeup right there. That is one of the things that they will go over in the scouting report, is not just a hitter's weaknesses and strengths, but they also find a couple of hitters in the lineup that you're going to see that have been hot lately.
Rare 3-0 count. We mentioned how stingy Gonzalez has been with ball 4. Manny Acta, the acting manager today. Scout service attending the graduation of his daughter, graduating from grad school. Drops in a strike.
We saw Manny's bench coach doing some sprints earlier today.
Of course, that is one of the great stories. I'm glad you brought that up of this series, that Ichiro is the bench coach. Now, only 6 walks all season for Marco. He has walked 2 of the first 4 hitters here today. Now the bases are now loaded. There's Ichiro, and as Manny said, he's climbing the ranks quickly. Bases loaded, 1 out. In play, right to Robbie. He'll step on the bag himself. Routine throw to first, and John Hicks bounces into the inning-ending double play to take us to the second, scoreless. Hoodie altogether awesome when the Mariners and these Tigers square up on Friday, May 18th, back at Safeco Field. The first 10,000 fans will be able to drape themselves in fandom with the Mariners blanket hoodie. Buy early and save by visiting mariners.com to get your tickets. Now, we talked about these 3 games in 24 hours. How about the Mariners and the Tigers playing 7 games in about 10 days is what it'll turn out to be. Won't see each other for the rest of the season. Nelson Cruz leads it off to begin the second. Now for Boyd, a very efficient first inning, 11 pitches, 9 strikes. He faced the minimum in the first. Hicks makes the catch as Machado slips behind him. He's out number 1. Well, Mike, we've talked a lot about Boyd's slider already. The usage way up this year.
Well, and you can see why the opponent's average against it just 140 overall, slugging next to nothing at 160. Ahead in the count. That's when he's going to go to work, especially to the left-handed hitters. Aaron, you were talking about the numbers to lefties. Been a very good pitch for him this year.
You look at his numbers, his frequency of usage last year to this year. His slider 3 times more and his changeup half as much. That's the trade-off.
When you consider opponents are hitting 333 off the changeup, yeah, pretty good move.
Haniger calls time. I mean, he went from throwing that changeup 20% of the time last year to about 10% this year.
And he also has a curveball. We've seen a couple of curveballs so far. It's curveball right around 72 to 74 miles an hour.
He's been around the strike zone early. 1-1 to Haniger.
There's a curveball down in the dirt.
Boyd's 2-1. Upper part of the zone. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Haniger. Seager on deck. And for Boyd, so far this year at home, he has been spectacular. 3 starts here in his home ballpark, an ERA under 1.5. Look at who he's faced though: the Royals, the Orioles, the Rays. He's allowed just 1 run each time, going at least 6 innings. So this is a little bit of a different lineup for him. It's always interesting getting the opposing side, the opposing view. And when we were in Toronto talking to John Gibbons, their skipper, keep in mind he's in a division with 2 of the best lineups in all of baseball, the Yankees and the Red Sox. And Gibbons, after the first game against the Mariners, is saying it's tough to find a lineup much better than what the Mariners are running out there each night.
I think we would both agree with that. Mariners now 3rd in hitting in the American League. 7th in home runs.
Haniger seeing plenty of pitches this time up. You will see at least 9. Next pitch inside, full count.
We're talking about Marco Gonzalez and just having the 6 walks on the year, now 8 with the 2 walks in the first. But you look at Boyd, just 9 for him.
Right.
He's also around the strike zone. And I think it's interesting, and the reason why it is for me is it's one thing to talk about pitching.
Down on strikes, second punch out for Boyd.
And you consider Marco, and for Scott to talk to him and Mel to talk to him about using all of his pitches early, even when he falls behind the counts, to use his curveball and his cutter to get back into some counts, set his changeup up, use his changeup for a strike early in counts. All those things sound good, but you have to have the ability to do it. And that's one of the things that I'm seeing from Boyd already. You mentioned the changes as far as his pitch usage and what he's doing with the slider and the changeup. he's also showing that he can throw those pitches for strikes early in count and not give in and just throw a fastball down the middle.
Left on left facing Seager. Called a strike. The last time out for Seager and the Mariners, facing a tough lefty, one of the best going in the American League early this year, Jay Happ. Seager hitting the left on left grand slam, the first home run Happ had allowed to a left-handed hitter. Hicks off the chest, flips to Boyd. Matthew Boyd has faced 6 up and 6 down. We go to the bottom of the second, scoreless. All you need to ride the Sounder train, link light rail, buses, ferries, and streetcars. You can learn more at getorcasmart.org. Still cloudy overhead, but the rain is gone. Marco Gonzalez, Mariners starter in game 1. Felix going in game 2. And then Paxton tomorrow. Here's Jacoby Jones, the center fielder for the Tigers, to lead it off. You could see some visible signs of frustration on Marco as he walked off the mound in that first inning. 19 pitches, but a double play to end things very quickly after he walked 2.
19 pitches, 11 strikes. And a couple of walks and a base hit, but he was able to get out of it. And that's, again, for me watching him, that's the real key for him, especially that first, second inning, trying to find his fastball command. Once he settles in, he seems to get through innings fairly quick.
Ground ball right up the middle. Jones burning to second base. Gets there, retreating back to first now as D was able to get to the ball.
The base hit on his changeup, 84 miles an hour, right back up the middle.
Good speed at first base for the Tigers. That brings up Griner, the catcher. Ball 1. Griner just 9 at bats so far this year in the big leagues, 2 for 9. Marco today making his first ever start against the Tigers. Go back to his last start, Mike. The final line really does not tell the whole story, does not look as good as what Marco was the entire night against the Angels. 6 innings, 4 runs. Did strike out 7 while walking just 1. But it was that 6th inning 3-run homer by Jeffrey Marte and hung up most of those runs on his line, and that was, of course, that 11-inning win for the Mariners.
I think, again, he's trying to do what they want him to, and that is to mix things up. And we're seeing that here today, using all of his pitches early in the game. You know, margins for error when your fastball is 90 in today's game, it's just not there. And he made a mistake that cost him the 3-run home run. That's a good fastball at 91. I'll be curious to see as the summer moves on if his velocity starts to climb again. You look at him last year in September, his fastball was at 94. We really haven't seen that much from him this year. It's typically been right around 90, 91. Last year, his first year of Tommy John.
There goes Jones. Healy throws down to Cano. Tag applied. They got him. One down.
He thought he beat it. He's still out at second base. Gardner looking to see if they want to take a look at it. Strong throw by Healy.
Now the home plate umpire, then Scott Berry walking over to get an answer one way or the other. That's a no. They're not going to challenge. Leadoff single erased, one down.
Paul Nauert, veteran umpire, out at second base making the call.
The 2-2 to Griner. Routine fly ball out to right center. He's got it. 2 outs.
Well, Marco, the importance of mixing things up, and you can see that he has done that this year when he's ahead in the count. Again, his changeup his best pitch, 20%. Then you have the cutter, curveball, and fastball. So it's interesting to me to see his fastball at 29%. Typically, you might see that a little bit more often, especially with the Mariners. They like the fastball up when they're ahead in the count. Marco staying with his changeup.
2 outs, nobody out for the shortstop. Iglesias batting 8th. Meanwhile, if you compare that to some other pitchers, Mike, to really kind of illuminate how impressive that is for Marco, there's some guys either ahead or behind where all of a sudden it becomes 60%, 70 pitch, one dominant pitch.
Yep.
A little bit more of a guessing game for Marco.
Mariners have one of those pitchers, James Paxton. When he's behind the count, it's going to be a fastball, and his fastball probably around 97 to 99.
Was it Bartolo that when he's behind the count, it's like 100% fastball?
Yeah, it was great to see that.
No guessing needed.
No.
Little looper into left field. Iglesias just reaching out for it. Finds a hit. Two-out single. Go back to the caught stealing of Jacoby Jones. Focusing on here, Mike, on Healy.
Well, you can see just trying to shorten the distance between him and the mound. If you go back to it, and with Marco Gonzalez, he wasn't watching the runner, and he went to his normal high leg kick, and he was really slow and deliberate about it, trying to get the runner to go. He did, but for Ryan, he was just trying to buy himself a little bit more time by cutting down that distance to the mound, so when he was able to receive the throw and make a strong throw himself down to second to get the runner. So a nice play by Healy at first.
And important to remember, we've mentioned this from time to time, Healy, a guy who a lot of time at third base last year, has made the shift full time to first. Still learning some nuances there, but has been very impressive. A lot of singles so far today for the Tigers as Iglesias makes a wide turn, now gets back. This is airmail, cut off by Healy.
This will be a fastball in the middle of the plate. Mentioned all the singles. Again, the Tigers this year are 6th in the American League in hitting. Not a lot of power for them.
First time through the order, the Tigers have 6 men reach. 2 on walks, the other 4 all singles. Here's leadoff hitter Mikey Matuk. First pitch strike.
Tigers hitting .236 as a team with runners in scoring position. Another heads-up play by Ryan Healy. Heredia throwing the ball in, ended up slipping out of his hand. Though they had a tarp on the infield, the outfield's still wet, but Ryan was able to back the play up.
Up to right field, Haniger nearing the track. Haniger making the catch, banging into the wall, and he holds on. Fine play by Mitch Haniger. Do more. And by Virginia Mason Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, making bodies happy again. Plenty of rain in the area yesterday. Obviously, the Mariners and the Tigers washed out. Doubleheader today. Bottom third of the order due up for the Mariners. It begins with Ryan Healy. Now, despite that first pitch ball from Boyd, he has been pumping in plenty of strikes so far today. Ground ball to Iglesias. Tiger shortstop is there for out number 1. Been talking plenty about that slider for Matthew Boyd, Mike.
Well, you can take a look at last year, using it just 11% of the time, now up to 32%. And again, when you look at the average, you can see why. A much improved slider for him, so he's going to stay with it. Last year, opponents hitting .366 all the way down to a .140 average this year. And you can see the strikeouts, 70% of them on the slider.
What do you make of this speed difference, Mike? That's nearly 6 miles an hour that he shaved off of.
Well, I think that there's a couple of things involved. One, they have a new pitching coach, and it's Chris Bosio. Speaking of no-hitters and
a familiar name.
Yes, Chris Bosio. Been with the Cubs. Signed with the Tigers early. And I'm told one of the things that he noticed right away was the Tigers pitchers on the first and second pitch and the averages, and they've been getting hit hard. And to him, it was more fastballs in the middle of the plate early. And so he changed things up. And so I think for them, they started to use their breaking ball and change up early in counts. He'll pick up another strikeout here. And I think that probably trying to take some off the slider, get a little more break to it. A little more separation from his fastball because his fastball on average, again, is 89 miles an hour. We've seen it today. It's 88 to 90 in that range. All those things are pluses, but the main thing is, like anything, we've talked about it with Marco, if he uses his curveball more, it's going to get better as the season wears on, and I think that's been the case with Matthew Boyd also, and probably when he's using it makes a big difference also.
2 outs for Heredia, ball 1. Boyd has sat down the first 8 Mariners hitters and has sat them down with ease for the most part.
There's been a lot of weak contact, 3 strikeouts.
Mitch Haniger has seen about a third of the pitches today from Boyd. He's been the one guy to put up a lengthy at bat against him. Haniger would eventually strike out, but he saw 9 pitches. The 3-0. How about this? A 4-pitch walk to the number 9 hitter. First man to reach. Talked about Boyd has been very stingy with ball 4 as well, just like Marco Gonzalez, so a rare walk there. Mariners have a base runner with 2 outs. Here comes D. Gordon.
D saw a couple of sliders in his first at bat. Ended up striking out.
Well, the Mariners are fortunate to have one of the best PR men in the business on their staff. That is Tim Hevley, who's on this trip, and I texted Tim this morning with a very obscure, nearly impossible question to answer. But that's why I texted Tim. And I said, what's the Mariners record for most hits in a day? Because you played 2 with D. Gordon.
Right. Segura.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're looking at 8 hits apiece.
Right.
In out of Hicks's glove. That's some tough luck there as D lets you know it. That'll end the inning. Heredia stranded at first. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. Famous no-hitter. We're celebrating with select view level seats for only $20. Select main and club level seats for only $30. All fans will receive a commemorative no-hitter placard suitable for framing, courtesy of Alberto. For tickets, visit mariners.com/Paxton. Candelario leads it off for the Tigers. You know, Mike, because I know there are people at home are hanging for the answer to that trivia question. Most hits in a day.
Yeah, nice tease, by the way.
And the answer is we have no idea.
Oh, because Tim didn't answer you?
He's looking into it. It's a tough thing to find out. You would have to, I mean.
Tim is terrific, and I'm pretty sure he saw that request and just ignored it altogether, because I know he has the answer.
Delete all. The 1-1.
Well, Speaking of base runners for the Tigers, first time through the lineup. 6 Tigers reaching base, couple of walks, 4 singles. Marco getting a double play to get out of the first. Picked a runner off. Defense helping him out.
Chopper off the plate. Marco towards third. Throw on target to first base at number 1. You know, while we're talking about Tim Hemley, which I know he loves when we talk about him, say that very much sarcasm rolling out of my mouth with that. You know, Tim has a great perspective on the no-hitter from James, because let's face it,
I haven't spoke to him about it.
It's really fascinating, because obviously the media requests for James after the no-hitter are just through
in Canada.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it's the perfect storm, and Tim's the guy, right? Tim is the man who makes the wedding happen between James and whoever he's going to be talking with. And James, just the other day before the rainout, went on ballpark camp with MLB.com for the MLB chatting cage, which is a nice feature that they do on MLB.com. And Tim told the story of walking out of the clubhouse with James, which means that he is escorting James to an interview.
Right.
And there was somebody with the Mariners who saw this happening and said to Tim, "Seriously, another interview?"
Get over!
On the right side, Healy well off the bag. This will be tough. Marco throw behind him. Castellanos aboard for the second time.
Well, you can see Ryan not happy with himself. Probably an easier play if he just goes to first base. It looked like Robbie was positioned to make the play. Little jam right off of his hands. Would have been an easy play that way. And Ryan not happy.
But Tim's response when somebody asked, "Seriously, another interview?" Tim said, "He hasn't said no yet." Which goes to show you the type of guy that James is.
Yeah.
James
I think it was the next day that he was down, I believe, the first base line, and he was out there forever, it seemed like, as we were preparing for the game, signing autographs and taking pictures with anybody that had a Mariner shirt on. It was great.
Quick double play off the bat of James McCann. That's the second time we've seen the Mariners turn 2 behind Marco. Investing in our future. How about we go down to the farm and look at the Mariners AA affiliate, Yohendi Haminian, Texas League Pitcher of the Week. Made a couple of starts. Minuscule .90 earned run average. Good stuff by Haminian. Jerry DePoto, of course, Mariners general manager, just over in North Little Rock, checking in on Mariners AA affiliate. Segura leads it off in the 4th inning.
Second time through the lineup for the Mariners. See what adjustment they make. See, with Boyd, he's been able to locate his fastball and really mixing it up, using his slider and curveball.
Well, outside, Segura ahead 2-1. Speaking of Jerry Dipoto, Mike, last conversation I had with Jerry, he was referencing Gene Segura as one of the great bad ball hitters in the game right now. And you put your arms up in celebration like you had something to do with that.
I've been telling you that over the last year.
I told Jerry, I've never heard that before, Jerry. That's interesting. But that makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. There's Robbie Cano waiting on deck. The two of them, the way they go about their business, are probably complete opposites. Gene very aggressive, and Robbie this year has been excellent at just trying to keep the ball in the strike zone.
Fourth strikeout for Boyd.
Going through it, and I was trying to find some guys that you consider good bad ball hitters. And I think for me, and it's just because with Gene especially, he has some sneaky power.
Sure.
You know, so he reminds me more than anybody of Kirby Puckett. Because Puckett was the same way. Didn't necessarily have to have a strike to hit the ball hard. And also a very aggressive hitter.
Ball one to Robbie. When I think bad ball hitter, the first name that immediately comes to mind is Vladimir Guerrero.
Yes.
Like
with power.
It could bounce twice in the dirt, and he could still hit it off the wall.
I saw the other day, I can't remember what it was on, but they were going through and they were showing Ichiro. And I saw a pitcher bounce the pitch to home plate and watch him get a base hit into right field on that pitch.
This is flicked out to the gap in left center field. Robbie's got a base hit. Sliding stop by Jones in center. That won't keep Robbie off the bag at second. It's a one-out double. Mariners' first hit today against Boyd.
I think this is on the slider. So an extra base hit. Looks like a slider. It is. Robbie lined out to left field his first time up. This time more towards the gap. Hustling the entire way.
Well, a reminder, as we mentioned earlier, lefties hitting 115 against Boyd, and that right there is only the second extra base hit he's given up to a left-handed hitter all season.
We were throwing out a lot of numbers with Jay Happ on the mound the other day. Similar type stuff. But I think that for the Mariners, their left-handed hitters are a little bit different than most. Think about Kyle. How many home runs he's hit against lefties over the last 5 years. Robbie hits everybody. And I think the same can be said for D.
Ball one to Nelson. Big rip and a miss.
The Mariners are fourth in the American League in hitting. Runners in scoring position, 268 on the year. Another slow curveball at 72 miles an hour.
Still 1-2 on Cruz. Mike, Nelly probably hasn't found as many hits as he would like over the last week or so, but man, as usual, everything off the bat is just a rocket.
Yeah, you go through stretches like that, and at times for Nelson, almost looks as if he's kind of sitting in between, a little bit late on the fastball out in front of the off-speed pitches, but typically for him, and it's one of the reasons why he's such a good hitter, not just a power hitter, But for the Mariners, it seems that he hits 290 every year, along with 40 home runs. Is it's usually a short period of time. We're talking 3 or 4 days for him before he gets it figured out.
1 out, 1 on. And the 1-2. For whatever reason, easier for a power guy to get caught in between like that than maybe a guy
bigger swing,
average.
I think, yeah. I think everybody goes through it at different stages during the season. But for most hitters, especially power hitters, when they kind of get in that mode, it lasts longer because they have such a big swing. Nelson can always go back to just trying to hit the ball into right field. He can do that as well as any hitter that hits for average. He can do that as well as any of them. Of course, he'll give up a little bit on the power at times. I had a conversation with him a few years ago, and again, he knows exactly why he's hitting cleanup. He'll pick his spots. He knows how to hit with runners in scoring position. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. That's another thing that's rare. I asked him if at times he will give up on his swing a little bit and hit the ball the other way, knowing that it's primarily in the batting order to drive in runs and to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And he said yes, he will pick his spots, either because he's uncomfortable with a certain pitcher or the situation calls for it.
Down on strikes. Oh, we got doubleheader today here from Comerica Park. Game 2 just around the corner. Good pitching matchup in Game 2, in fact. As the King up on the mound, where it all began for Felix. Made his Major League debut many years ago right here inside this ballpark. He'll be taking on Michael Fulmer, an all-star last season. One of the best starters that the Tigers have. For sure one of the best players they have on their roster, period.
Another pretty good slider from Fulmer.
Yeah, you're right. And a power fastball. Haniger pops up the first pitch foul. Mariners trying not to waste that 1-out double by Robbie. The 1-1. Last time up for Haniger, a 9-pitch at bat. It's been the longest of the day for a Mariners hitter against Boyd, although Nelson just saw 8. Ended up striking out. Two and two. And there's no doubt Boyd has been very tough so far this year, making start number 7 this afternoon. He's allowed exactly 1 run in 4 of his first 6 starts this year. Full count. So Mitch has run it full in each of his first 2 at-bats. A double by Cano, the only hit so far today against Boyd. That's walk demand. The Mariners have not had many on the base paths so far today. Another walk. 2 on with 2 outs.
We'll bring up Kyle Seager, grounded out to first his first time up.
Two outs, 2 on for Seager.
Kyle with 6 home runs on the year, 21 RBIs.
2 of those homers for Kyle come in his last game. Fouls the first one back. Mike, you want to break down some body language for us on Kyle? We see him do this all the time, where after a swing like he had in that first one, he'll kind of do that air backhand serve.
He'll do that.
He used to bang his leg all the time, not so much anymore.
Not as much as he used to. Then he'll also stretch a little bit. I think more than anything, he's just, replaying that last pitch, trying to figure things out on what he's going to do with the next pitch and what he's going to look for, or what area he's going to sit in. Pretty good slider again from Boyd.
And you've seen plenty of them. That's now 6 strikeouts, and most of them coming on that slider. Thank you, Bradley. Marco, first pitch strike to a former Mariner, John Hicks. Bounced to a double play his last time up. We really enjoyed our time getting to know John when he was in the Mariners organization, former 4th-round draft pick by the Mariners out of the University of Virginia. It's one point where the Mariners had what was kind of unofficially known as I believe it was the Virginia 6, where there was like 5 or 6 guys the Mariners drafted in the span of just a couple of years out of Virginia. Now finds himself here with the Tigers and is the placeholder for Miguel Cabrera at first base till Mickey comes off the DL. Big shoes to fill. John made his big league debut with the Mariners back in 2015. Played in under 20 games, so his time in a Mariners uniform was not all that long. Off his foot. In fact, it was John who saw some time at third base late one night in Chicago. Seager moved to short. On a very cold and windy night, it was Seager who let John make the catch on a pop fly to third base.
Exactly.
Full count.
Let's see if he comes back with a changeup right here. Moved him off the plate a couple of times.
Out towards the gap in left center field. Heredia charging after it. Gordon as well. One hops the wall. Ground rule double by John Hicks.
And this is on the changeup. It's on the outside corner, but he leaves it probably about belt high, 84 miles an hour. Mentioned it at the start of the game, but it's 420 feet to dead center field here in this ballpark.
Jacoby Jones is single up the middle back of the second. Go ahead run in scoring position for the Tigers. Marco missing for ball one. Into right field, Haniger plays this on a line. Hicks tagging, making his way to third base, and he's in there. One out. Hicks 90 feet from home. I'll round up your roommates, classmates, and professors for college night at Safeco Field on Friday. With valid college ID, you can purchase $13 tickets, enjoy an extended happy hour, and don't forget, ride the Link Light Rail for free by showing your ticket to the game. Join the party at mariners.com/college. I don't think you really have to bring your professors, but if they're cool enough, I suppose you can bring them. One out. Hicks at third base. Here is Greiner, the catcher.
Infield is in. Segura, the shortstop, about halfway.
Segura underneath his glove. And the first run crosses today in the fourth inning. It's Hicks after that leadoff double. Greiner brings him in. Tigers lead at 1-0.
Tigers very aggressive on the first pitch. The infield in. Able to drive in a run.
Now for young Jason Greiner, his first career run batted in. One out, one on, one in. Here is Iglesias.
He's thrown that pitch a number of times early in counts, and he's not getting the call. Breaking ball again, looked like it was right on the inside corner.
I'll bring his hands in tight. 2-0. And we got game 2 coming up after the conclusion of game 1. Just over half an hour once the first game is finished. This is a mile-high pop-up. Already over near the line. There's out number 2. As always, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. 2 outs now for Dixon Machado, who singled back in the second. Strike one. Same story.
Same breaking ball. Not helping him out. Scott Berry, the home plate umpire.
It's a strike there, ahead 1-2. Evens it up.
Good cutter and off the plate. Straighten him up a little bit. Probably go right back away with the changeup.
Bounces foul. Mariners, by the way, just like the Tigers, are allowed to call up an extra man for the doubleheader. Mariners will not announce who that is until the conclusion of game 1. It'll be a surprise. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Marco's first punch out ends the 4th. A man is left. A run scores. The Tigers, they lead it through 4. Presents Hats Off for Heroes, because we stand ready to serve all military and veterans with half off their family lines. Boyd pitching very well. 6 strikeouts over the first 4 innings. Just 1 hit, a couple of walks. These are 2 guys who saw each other a little bit in college. Of course, Boyd, as we mentioned, with the Beeves in Corvallis, and Healy was part of the program in Eugene that was started from scratch after being dormant for many years. Like when you were with the Huskies, Oregon did not have a program.
They did not,
right?
no.
Now, funny how that works. All of a sudden the school down the road starts having some success, and Oregon maybe starts to want to have a baseball program again.
Ryan has been hot lately. 10 out of the last 13. 333 batting average. 6 home runs in the 13 games.
Checks a swing. They say that he goes around. 2 strikes against him. Ball 4. Third walk from Boyd, a leadoff walk. We talked about the local connection of Matthew Boyd. Attended Mercer Island High for a year his freshman year, then over to Eastside Catholic in Sammamish. Over to Corvallis to play for the Beavs. 6th-round draft pick by the Blue Jays. He made his big league debut with Toronto, then was part of that David Price trade to bring him here to Detroit.
He was able to get to the big leagues in a hurry, just a couple of years.
Zunino, a high lift out to left center field. This is just in front of the track. And it's Jones, the center fielder, to make the catch for round number 1.
And Mike didn't miss that by much. Towering fly ball up against the fence.
One out, one on. Here's Heredia, who walked on 4 pitches in the 3rd. Mike hitting his 6th of the season a couple of nights ago in Toronto. Very memorable home run. 0-1. Healy at first base after the walk. As Heredia finds himself behind 0-2.
You were talking about Tim Hevley earlier, and there's a note on the bottom of the page that I thought was great.
Of our game notes?
Yes, off our game notes. With Manny Actu being manager and Ichiro the bench coach. Between Ichiro, Edgar, and Scott Brocious, the 3 coaches, they have over 6,000 hits. You can put that group up against any other group that you want.
I mean, Molitor had a lot of hits.
Yeah.
You know, think about the Twins, their manager, but Ichiro's got a lot of hits too.
3,089.
Donnie Baseball and Barry Bonds were with each other for a year in Miami.
A lot of hits there.
Still 1-2. Well, not that I ever would root for a Mariners manager to be ejected, but I am rooting for Manny to be ejected.
Why?
So that Ichiro can make a pitching change.
That actually would be pretty cool.
That would be incredible.
It really would.
He would be the first player ever to rob a home run and make a pitching change in the same season. Now, Manny has been very open and honest, and why wouldn't he be? That's just his personality. We've really enjoyed getting to know Manny over the last couple of years. He would like to manage at some point in the future. Very happy with where he is right now. Is in no hurry to change his scenery, but did interview with the Mets during the offseason. Mickey Callaway ended up getting that job. Terry Francona's pitching coach in years past with the Indians. Of course, Manny's been a manager twice before.
Well thought of throughout baseball. He'll get another chance.
Have to think so. Nationals and Indians. His previous managerial stops. Smoked foul. You know, Scott had some very sage advice for Manny.
About getting thrown out?
Oh, just about what to do when Scott was gone. Said, don't mess it up.
It's good advice. I don't think Manny's too worried about that.
Off the hands, and it drops into left field for a base hit. Healy making the turn. He's heading for third, lumbering in, throw off line. The Mariners catch a bit of a break. They've got 2 in scoring position.
And a really good play by Heredia. Not just getting the hit, but his head up, watching the play. And once he saw the left fielder Montook going to make the throw, he moves on up to second base. So we'll jam him. A soft line drive into left field. Guillermo always runs hard, but he's watching the play, and as soon as he sees the ball going into third, he takes off for second base. And that, of course, takes double play out of the equation. Good hustle by Healy to get into third. Great situation for the Mariners.
There's a first and third situation. That is, Healy went first to third on the last homestand, and Jerry said to Healy afterwards, I didn't know you could move like that. And Healy said, it might take me a little bit longer, but I'll get there. The ground trembled a little bit as he went over to third base.
If you're a base runner, you always have to be aware of that right there, that they will try to bunt for a hit.
It was a leadoff walk to Healy. Single by Heredia, moving over on the throw. Time called. Prime spot here for the Mariners with 1 out and 2 on. Especially when you consider the Mariners had 1 base runner over the first 3 innings. That was a walk to Heredia. He never got past first. Out to center field. Jones is there to find it. Healy ready. Coming down the line. And D. Gordon has tied this game at 1, a sacrifice fly in the 5th inning. Well, tomorrow, the final game of this series. And we cannot wait to see what James Paxton has in store for all of us once again. Our coverage begins at 9:30. Paxton's numbers obviously terrific. The 16 strikeout game 2 starts ago. Then obviously the no-hitter his last time. So his last 2 starts, Mike, no runs, 16 innings, and 23 strikeouts.
So maybe, what, perfect game?
That's the only thing left. This is bounced over to Iglesias, a little bit of a high throw, but the out is made. D. Gordon has tied this game up with a sacrifice fly. And by Steel. To find your local Steel dealer, visit steeldealers.com. Mike, in the Motor City, this is very popular. Bowling, like bowling, but with a football.
Yeah.
People pay to do this, you know. I mean, they're paying money to be able to chuck footballs at bowling pins in a warehouse.
Looks like fun.
Yeah, why not? There were hundreds of people there.
Big TVs in the background. Watch a ball game. Have some fun.
Now you know what our crew does on it right now. Mike and I were not invited, which we took personally.
Well, it was scheduled for tonight, but obviously with the game getting canceled yesterday, they decided to go last night.
Strike one to Mikey Monto.
But it sounds like it was a lot of fun. The guys enjoyed it. And Shannon Dreyer also went. Everybody icing their arms down today.
Well, you know, after throwing battle axes in Minnesota, this seems fairly tame.
That I did go to.
Aaron Goldsmith, Conan the Barbarian next to me.
Although it looked like footballs were going everywhere in there. Better pay attention to what you're doing.
Almost as dangerous. Amat took the only Tigers hitter yet to reach base today. Flew out to the wall in right field his last time up. Up the middle, Robbie a stab, a throw across his body, the stretch by Healy. Good play on both ends. There's out number one.
Talking about Cano earlier and how well he's been swinging the bat, commanding the strike zone, having just a terrific year defensively. Hasn't made an error yet this year.
I know a lot of infielders, Mike, especially the guys up the middle, will say, you know, first base never moves. It's always in the same spot, but it's amazing how Robbie, no matter almost what body position he's in, gets that throw right on target.
Yeah, such a strong arm. And you're right, throwing across his body when he's heading back towards the middle of the diamond, he does that as well as anybody. But I think the difference for him is just the strength of his arm. I had to laugh. I think it was last year. It might have been the year before, but somebody was saying something to him about the strength of his arm. And right away he said, well, you know, I used to be a third baseman.
0-2.
But he has really played well defensively this year.
Strike three call. Quick work of Candelario. There's strikeout number 2 for Marco.
And no argument at all. Mike set up on the outside corner. That ended up in the middle of the plate.
Two outs for Nicholas Castellanos. It seems like every year since Castellanos has been a regular in the big leagues, he has been among the leaders just in terms of pure exit velocity, Mike. I mean, he's a guy who's known for really stinging the baseball, but it seems like this year those numbers are finally starting to really pay off for him. You look at his average entering today, batting over 320, 3 home runs.
I was a little bit surprised to see that.
Yeah, you would think there'd be a few more.
If he's squaring it up as much as the numbers say, and the power, obviously he has that, but just the 3 home runs. But you're right, 321 batting average. And we're used to seeing him at third base.
Right.
Now he's playing right field.
That last pitch ruled ball 1. 1-1 to Castellanos, who was singled twice today. Out to left, Heredia in front of the track, glides over to make the catch. Marco Gonzalez retires the Tigers in order. All right, thank you, Brad. Cano, Cruz, and Haniger. Boy, look at this. Robbie with a double his last time up. His next double will tie Willie Mays, 47th all time, then just one shy of Griffey, two shy of Teddy Ballgame. Now, Robbie, when he finishes, will no doubt go down as one of the all-time greatest doubles hitter. You can make that case anyway right now inside the top 50, of course. Pops this up on the left side. Candelario, the third baseman. One out. Now, baseball fans and green thumbs alike, join us on Saturday, May 19th. The Mariners host these Tigers for Felix Hernandez Infield Grass Bobblehead Night, presented by KeyBank. This one-of-a-kind bobblehead grows real grass. Get your seats now at Mariners.com. The great Camden Finney of the Mariners front office, the mastermind behind that. Ball one to Cruz. To right field with a little bit of carry to it. Castellanos backing up. And the former third baseman makes the catch for round number 2. Boy, with Nelson, you never know. The opposite way can get out.
I think he hit that one towards the end of the bat a little bit. But you're right. I mean, he can miss the ball and still hit it out of the ballpark.
Have you ever heard, by the way, Nelson say, "Yeah, I got all that one"?
Yeah,
I've never heard him say that.
I don't think so.
And steps Haniger with 2 outs. Of course, what makes that so frustrating from a spectator's point of view is that when he hits it 490 feet, he still says he didn't get all that. Check swing, ends up bouncing back to the pitcher. Boyd makes easy work of it. And for the third time in 6 innings, Matthew Boyd, the Seattle product, faces the minimum. Mariners post-game presented by Alaska Airlines. Fox Theater right across the street from the ballpark. New hockey stadium built just down the road from where we are here. Home of the Pistons as well. Here's James McCann, the catcher. Excuse me, DHing today, normally the catcher.
If this game had been played yesterday, he would have been the catcher yesterday, but he'll probably catch the second game of this doubleheader.
Well, the Lions are just next door as well. I mentioned the Red Wings. It's the Pistons are kind of left off there unless I'm missing something. But an avid fan. Of course, add to all that, we are not far at all from Ann Arbor or East Lansing, Michigan to Michigan State. Plenty of sports to choose from here in the Motor City. Marco behind 3-0. Gets a strike there. McCann thinking ball 4, instead right there on the corner. Gonzalez battling back through a full count. D picking up some speed right about to the track. There's out number 1. But kind of a down year to say the least, at least so far, Mike, for the American League Central. How about this? Entering today, there is not a team even at 500. Indians off to a sluggish start, at least based on expectations.
That's a surprise when you consider their pitching, starting pitching, and their bullpen.
I mean, to me, it's hard to find a team that is 6 games under 500 like Ron Gardenhire's, and yet 2.5 games outside of first place. This is very much a rebuilding year, and years to come for the Tigers. Ball 1 to Hicks.
I would think that the Indians will get hot.
You'd have to think so. There's too much talent there.
Yeah.
Andrew Miller back for them now after missing time with the disabled list. And you know, not that Andrew Miller is the set-in recipe for winning games and getting well over 500 and going on a tear, but we saw. I tell you what, we saw it firsthand. Game 1 when we were there. That was the day he was placed on the disabled list, and they felt his loss immediately. Mariners came back in the 8th inning. Back out to D. Gordon. 2 outs. It's kind of funny how this game started, Mike, for Marco Gonzalez. We had the 2 walks in the first inning after he had walked only 6 over his first 7 starts. We saw 1 single after another. The hit total was much higher than Marco would have liked to see, but he's in position now. He's 1 out away from a run over 6 innings, and the pitch count is only at 80. Will be coming up.
Yeah, there's been base runners, no question. And look at the second inning where he gave up 3 singles in that inning, but didn't give up a run. Had a couple double plays turned behind him, so when he's needed to make a pitch, typically with his changeup, he's been able to do that. But 80 pitches, 52 strikes for him. Only a couple of strikeouts, though.
Pulled, and it's off of Seager's knee. Boy, he's feeling that. Jones burns into second base, and he's in there standing.
I'm not sure with Kyle if it was going to the knee to make the backhanded play or if it was the ball that hit him on the knee. But it's a play that we see Kyle make all the time. That ball just went flat and then it hits him in the knee.
It's a double all the way for Jones. Strike one to Griner. His RBI single in the fourth has driven in the lone run today for the Tigers. First RBI of his young career.
Tigers hitting .238 as a team with runners in scoring position. They are 1 for 4 this afternoon.
Through the right side, base hit. Haniger charges it. Jones, who runs very well, coming home. Play at the plate. Tag applied. He's safe. Look at that.
I would think they would. Strong throw by Mitch Haniger in right field. You mentioned it with Jones. He can fly. It looked like it was a quick tag by Mike. That was well done all the way around. Here's the look at the tag. Doesn't appear that they're going to look at it. Primera Supermo and the tag from Mike. Boy, I thought he was out.
He's out, right?
That's what I thought. That was a great look.
I'm not sure if there's a technical problem with the phone. Needless to say, it's surprising that that has not been challenged or was not challenged at this point. Go ahead run. So Griner has driven in both runs today for the Tigers.
After the play, Marco falls behind 3-0.
There's a strike.
.88 pitches. Probably get somebody up in the bullpen. His season high is 100. That was his last outing against the Angels.
Tied to the line again, but foul this time. Wait, just think about how this run has scored, Mike, in this inning. We saw a double off the kneecap from Jacoby Jones, a play that we see Seager make 9 times out of 10, if not slightly more than that. And then Griner on the base hit into right field, a play very close to the plate. The execution from Haniger and Zunino could not have been any better.
It was perfect. Haniger charging the ball, a one-hop strike to Mike, an easy throw for him to handle. He gets, looked like to me as if he was able to get the tag down quickly, and now a drive out to left.
And that's a no-doubter from Iglesias. His second this season comes with a man aboard. 4-1 Tigers.
And what appeared was going to be a quick inning for Marco.
Well, you're right about that. A couple of early fly ball outs.
And Marco at 90 pitches, 58 strikes. Mel Stottlemyre making a trip out to the mound.
Now 3 runs in this inning, all with 2 outs. Eric Cadell getting loose inside the bullpen now for the Mariners. There's Dixon Machado. Strike one. This is a little bit of a carbon copy of Marco's last start. He references at the very beginning of the game. Really pitched very well through the first 5 innings against the Angels. Marte, the 3-run homer, this time a 2-run shot by Iglesias. So home runs late against Gonzalez after pitching very well.
Well, the last home run was on a cut fastball, 87 miles an hour, probably middle in. And typically when he's throwing his cutter, he's going to throw it in off the plate like he did on that last pitch. Just missed his location.
The 0-2. Foul at the plate. Another chopper foul.
And for Marco, he was in great shape with his pitch count at the start of the inning.
It's under 80 pitches.
It's at 70, I believe. So a lot of pitches here.
It's 4 foul balls with 2 strikes. Well, the main question out of this inning is why the Mariners did not challenge the play at the plate. Now, that being said, even if the Mariners had challenged, there is no guarantee that it would have been ruled in their favor. The call would have to have been overturned.
Right, it makes it more difficult because he was originally called safe at the plate.
But to be fair, at least from what we saw, it appeared as though the tag was made in time. Fraction of a second. Close play, though. But we have also thought things like that before, and New York has thought differently. Swing and a miss for strike 3 to end the inning. Machado a hard out. 3-run score in the 6th. The Tigers have the lead. Here from Detroit. Tigers scored 3 times in the home 6. They have taken the lead. Marco likely done for the day at this point. Meanwhile, Boyd just 1 run over the first 6 innings. He'll face Kyle Seager to begin things in the 7th.
Marco now at 99 pitches.
Season high 100 his last start. Brushes him back. We're talking about the standings in the Central and how no team is over 500. Look at how the American League West is shaping up so far this year, Mike. The Mariners fortunately actually gained a half game last night by not playing. Losses, rare losses for the Angels and the Astros. So the top 3 teams in the West are separated by a game.
That hit him. Yep. Take a base runner.
Take a look at those American League West standings. Well, the Mariners a game out of first place. The Mariners just even in the loss column with the Angels, in fact. With Justin Upton on a tear. He's homered in 4 straight for Los Angeles. Only other division in baseball that is as tightly contested amongst the top 3 teams is the National League Central. Cardinals, Pirates, and Brewers are all separated by a game. Here's Healy. I mean, to be fair, though, and we talk about how tight the West is, Mike, I don't think this is probably surprising anybody. We knew this would be one of the strongest divisions in the American League entering this season as Buck Farmer starts to get loose.
No, I don't think it surprises anybody at all.
You have the 2 big horses in the East, the Red Sox and the Yankees. And after that, the Blue Jays 5.5 back. One and one. The Yankees 1 point winning 17 of 18. Red Sox. Well, the Yankees won today, I beg your pardon. That's why they're no longer even a walk-off win at the Bronx for the Yankees. Well, that's why they have now held on to first place, at least by a half game so far.
We are almost a quarter of the way through the season.
How about that?
Yeah. In a game, couple of games.
2-2. When you think about how this will impact postseason push, though, Mike, it would be very shocking. It would take some kind of monumental collapse for the Red Sox or the Yankees to not make the postseason. I figure that's going to be one wild card team. Either one. We mentioned the Indians, how they're a game under 500. They are in first place in the Central, but you'd have to think, just based on the roster, that they will separate themselves. Into left field, Healy finds a base hit. Seager on his way to third base. This is all the way to the corner. Seager gets stopped as Healy is on base for the 2nd time. His first hit, it's a double. And when you start to find kind of limited spots, Mike, for a possible wild card, when you consider the strength of, well, the American League West we were just talking about.
Well, and that's the reason why we saw it early as Gardenhire takes a trip out to the mound. Boyd now 94 pitches is why it's so important for the Mariners to play well against the Angels and the Astros this year.
Absolutely. Utmost importance. Farmer coming in. Boyd is done. Pitched very well, but allows the first 2 to reach here in the 7th. second home run of the season.
Again on a cut fastball, 87 miles an hour. Middle in. But a 2-run home run for Iglesias.
Part of a 3-run inning. It's now 4-1 Tigers. Mariners dip into the Tigers bullpen. Now the Seattle product, Matthew Boyd, pitched very well today.
6 innings, just 3 hits. The 1 run hit was Ernie's responsible for the 2 runners. 3 walks, a little bit unusual to see him walking hitters. Only had 9 total coming into the game, 94 pitches, 56 strikes.
Facing Zunino right away. Cued over to first base. Hicks to his knees, stumbles, slides, and gets Zunino at first base. That brings Seager across home. Mariners inch a run closer, now down 2.
Michael picked up an RBI, and Healy also moving up to third. The Mariners still in a really good situation. Right off the end of the bat for Farmer, a very good changeup, and I think that's what the first pitch was, a changeup to Mike. Ben Gamble going to pitch it. Look at the numbers for Farmer. 17 appearances, ERA right at 4. 23 strikeouts, 11 walks in 18 innings. Fastball right around 94 miles an hour. Changeup. He uses changeup a lot. He also has a curveball and a slider to go with it. But primarily fastball changeup.
One on one.
And Gamble hitting for Heredia. You have Romine, Freitas left on the bench.
Benson stretching out of the Mariners bullpen. Campbell loops this over towards left field, floating foul, out of play. 2-2. Chop back to Hicks. Takes it to the bag himself once again. Another run crosses. That's Healy. The Mariners are now within 1.
A couple of ground balls to the right side of the infield. The Mariners picking up a couple of runs. They're 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Sacrifice fly, and now a couple of ground outs here in this inning. Picking up the runners at third with less than 2 outs. Doing a nice job of that this afternoon.
First pitch strike to D. And that completes the line on Boyd. 3 runs over 6 innings. Only the 3rd time this year he's given up more than a run. 0-2. Flip over to first base in time for round number 3. A lot of action at first base. The Mariners get a couple of runs within 1. Mariners grab a couple of runs in the top half of this inning. We make our way to the bottom of the 7th. Now a 1-run game. And a Beacon Plumbing call to the bullpen. Marco Gonzalez done for the day after 6. And Eric Goodell up on the mound for the Mariners.
Fastball, split, slider. Just 3 appearances so far. 2.7 ERA. Opponents hitting 182. His fastball 92 to 94 miles an hour. Primarily will use his split.
And that final line for Marco Gonzalez today.
6 innings, 10 hits, 4 runs. They were earned. Couple of walks, 3 strikeouts, 99 pitches, 66 strikes.
Top of the order due up for the Tigers. It'll begin with Mikey Matuk as we go back to the Ford Sports Desk. We bring in Ryan Rowland-Smith. And boy, Ryan, we were really impressed with how well Marco managed a lot of traffic on the base paths today. Only 1 run over the first 5 innings. What did you make of his performance today?
Ryan, one of the things, and you mentioned that getting out of trouble, a couple of double plays, but I thought one of the things that he did well today, and I know he gave up the home run on the cutter, but his cutter in off the plate and then going back to his changeup to get some weak contact and a ground ball here and there to help himself out. As he moves forward, how important will it be, Ryan, for him to be able to throw his curveball and his changeup maybe earlier in counts when he misses with the fastball in that 1-0 sort of count, 2-0, 2-1 type of counts?
Hey, Hyphen, curious your thoughts. Matthew Boyd, always fun to see a local kid up in the big leagues, and in this case, a local product pitching very well. What'd you make of his performance? Now, Ryan, good stuff as always. Thanks for the insights. We will catch you along with the Boyd residents will be tuning in as well, I'm sure, on Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines. Goodell, meanwhile, 0-2 on Castellanos after retiring Matuk and Candelario. Swings right through it. Good fastball there from Goodell, who comes out of the bullpen and retires his side in order. BNSF, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. And by Jack in the Box, try the new Cholula Buttery Jack, part of the Buttery Jack family, only at Jack in the Box. Tigers by a run as we open up the top of the 8th. New pitcher up on the mound for Detroit, Joe Jimenez, will work.
20 appearances, a 3.5 ERA, 16 strikeouts, 6 walks in 18 innings. Opponents hitting .243. Fastball, slider, changeup. His average fastball 94 miles an hour.
Those 20 appearances, tied for 3rd in the American League. He's worked a lot. 1-1 to Segura. Gene, a couple of groundouts and a strikeout today. Chopped off the plate, foul. Second strikeout today for Segura. Well, don't miss the chance to celebrate Mother's Day again on May 20th when the Mariners host these Tigers at 110. The first 10,000 moms to Safeco Field will receive a Mariners tote courtesy of EQC. Pick up your tickets for mom at mariners.com. One out, nobody aboard for Cano. Doubled back in the 4th. One of just 3 hits against starter Matthew Boyd.
Well, for Robbie, they have pitched him away the entire game, and he's hit the ball the other way. 1 for 3 with that double into left center. Also lined out to the left fielder.
Chopper over to second base, snared by Machado. Now number 2. 2 up, 2 down by Jimenez here in the 8th. Get home field advantage on Silver Bullet Saturdays. Download the Coors Light Rewards app and start earning points towards rewards like Mariners tickets and Coors Light gear while supplies last. Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Two outs, bases empty for Nelson Cruz. A lot of room up the middle for Nelly. Breaks his bat. Slow trickler. Hops over the bag at second. What a snare by Machado. My goodness, that is a play. Nothing easy about that for Dixon Machado. Right off the bag into his glove. There's out number 3. community food banks by hosting a peanut butter drive to make sure no child goes hungry this summer. Visit your local Ford store today to donate an unopened jar of peanut butter. For more information on how to donate, visit FordFeedsKids.org. Inside the Henry Ford in Dearborn, not too far away. They're inside Comerica Park. The Mariners are within a run, 4-3. Goodell out for his second inning, a very quick, very efficient seventh.
Yeah, a couple of strikeouts for him. Good fastball, 92-94 to go with the split.
Eight of those first 9 pitches he threw in the seventh were all strikes. Weak wave and a miss, 1-2. Out into left center, drops in for a base hit. Gamble, who's taken over out there, will pick it up. McCann aboard. 9-game hitting streak for McCann. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Leadoff man aboard in the Tigers' 8th. Here is John Hicks. Showing bunt, drops it down.
It's a beauty.
Goodell got no chance.
Yep, no play.
Two on, nobody out.
Or Hicks maybe did that on his own. It's just the third sacrifice bunt for the Tigers this year. But it worked out for him.
Two on, nobody out. Here's Jacoby Jones, who doubled and scored back in the 6th.
Seager in front of the bag at third. Same with Healy at first, expecting the bunt. We will see. No bunt. A late swing on a pretty good fastball.
Victor Reyes pinch running at second. Running for McCann. Seager, a step on the bag at third. A whip down to second base. And a double play.
That helps.
Even with the throw on the money, Jones a tough guy to triple up.
They would not have been able to. Kyle was thinking that way.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I think even with a good throw, no chance. Just runs too well. Tigers are 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position this afternoon. Difference in this one so far is the 2-run home run by Jose Iglesias, just his 2nd home run on the year.
They appeal. He does not go 2-0. And we heard over the press box intercom that Manny Acta will be available to the media in between these 2 games. So we'll hear from Manny as to the no challenge that we saw on the play at the plate in the 6th inning. That was a surprise. The Mariners did not challenge on a play that was ruled against them. Looked like Zunino had the tag down. Moreno. Keep an eye on Jones over at first. Shane Green getting loose inside the Tigers bullpen.
Mid to upper 90s with his fastball. Hard throwing right-hander.
Popped up. Healy in foul ground. Makes the catch. We've completed 8. Mariners down by a run, down to their final 3 outs. Live here in game 1. Game 2 just around the corner, just a little over half an hour after the conclusion of this first game. Good pitching matchup. The King going up against Michael Fulmer. Looking forward to this one. A double dip today here from inside Comerica after a rainout last night. Well, the Mariners scored 2 runs in the 7th to pull within 1. Now having to face Shane Green here in the 9th.
16 appearances, 7 saves for him. ERA over 4, 21 strikeouts, 15 in the 3rd. He's given up 3 home runs this year. Fastball, cutter, slider. His average fastball 95.
Missing ball 1 to Haniger. Ground ball, Iglesias deep in the hole. Throws on a bounce. He's one of the best shortstops to see all season long in the American League.
Well, maybe he was going to try to backhand it, and once he tries to get in front of it, he just gets rid of it quickly.
One out, in steps Kyle Seager. Seager scored one of the Mariners' 2 runs in that 7th inning. Looks at ball 1.
See if he can get a fastball. Fastball middle in. Hoping that he can drive. Kyle with 6 home runs on the year.
Time called. And one of the very obvious things about this Mariners lineup this year is basically anyone at any point of the order can pop one out. Healy on deck, then Zunino. Has not seen a strike yet.
Just with a cutter, started it off the plate away.
The 3-0. Not going Kyle's favor. 3-1.
Kyle again was looking for something middle in that he could drive. They let him swing 3-0. We've seen him hit some home runs over the past few years, hitting 3-0. That pitch on the outside corner, so he decided to take it.
Strikes him out. Excuse me, 3-2. Seager, a couple of home runs 2 days ago in Toronto. Looking for his first hit today. Here's the payoff. Well, the Mariners knew Matthew Boyd would be tough, and he was. A left-handed starter for the Tigers today. 3 runs over 6. Struck out 6 along the way. Seager aboard. Tying run is at first with 1 out for Ryan Healy.
Ryan with a double in the left field corner his last time up. He's been a hot hitter for the Mariners. Look at his last 13 games, 6 home runs. 7th inning or later. Great numbers, 360 average with 3 home runs.
Well, that's impressive. Consider the arms you'll be facing.
That's exactly right.
On the first pitch, foul.
Starts him with a slider.
Oh, 1-2.
Another slider, just left it in the middle of the plate. Just look in Ryan's face. Disappointed that he missed that pitch.
Now the 0-2. In his center field. Jones coming in, and he makes the catch. That's a game changer. 2 outs.
It really is.
Heck of a play.
Then you have first and second with just the 1 out. Gets a pretty good break on it. And the other part of it too, if it gets by him, Mariners are in really good shape. Didn't happen though. Great play.
It's up to Zunino with 2 outs and a man aboard. That's Seager at first after the walk.
Mike also with 6 home runs this year. Back in the 5th inning, flew out to the warning track and left center. Just missed it.
Check swing. He goes. Breaks his bat. Soft looper. Dropping quickly. No man's land. Base hit Zunino. Seager making his way to third. And the Mariners have runners on the corners.
Base hit for Mike. He had to feel that the Mariners deserved it. He's going to break his bat. And the second baseman, Machado, running back, is not able to find it right away. And Kyle running hard with 2 outs.
Tell you what, Mike, that obviously a little bit of a fluky hit with the broken bat. Goes in the Mariners' favor for sure, but look at the numbers this year for Green. More hits than innings pitched. That's not exactly what you want in your 9th inning guy.
No, you're right. Already had started the game. Ben Gamble came on as a pinch hitter back in the 7th. Grounding out to first.
And Romine, the former Tiger, running for Mike at first base. A base hit by Gamble ties it. The 1-0. 2-0. Seager at third, Romine at first.
Defense plays him straight up. Center fielder Jones shading towards left center.
The 2-0.
Pretty good fastball at the top of the strike zone, 96 miles an hour. Elevated fastball, a little bit late. D. Gordon on deck.
Two and two. Two outs, 2 strikes, tying run at third base. Top of the 9th. Loop foul.
For Green, 19 pitches, 12 strikes. Seen a good fastball from him, but a lot of sliders this afternoon. The slider's been right around 80, 81 miles an hour. That last pitch was a slider.
Another 2-2. Full count.
Big outfield ball in the gap. Romine can score.
Really juts out deep to right center field.
Romine pinch running for Zunino at first.
Well, here we go, the 3-2. I'll do it again.
Good hitting. That pitch, 96, right on the corner. Borderline pitch.
Seager third, Romine at first. A chance to tie, if not give the lead. Another 3-2 coming home. Bases are juiced. Second walk by Green this inning.
And D. Gordon looking for his first hit of the afternoon. 0 for 3. Had a sacrifice fly in the 5th inning to drive in a run. Chris Bosio, pitching coach, making a trip out to the mound. And will stay alert at third with D. All sorts of options for him. They drop a bunt, clearly get an infield hit.
Well, Mike, for a guy who began the game on the bench and gambled, 2 plate appearances, 2 very productive plate appearances.
Yeah, that is true, and that's what you'd like to see. Good time for D. Gordon to get his 50th hit of the year.
Meanwhile, Edwin Diaz will begin to get loose inside the Mariners bullpen. Now the pressure is on Green here in the 9th. He's got him loaded. A couple of walks, a broken bat single. Bags packed, 2 outs. First pitch strike to D. He thinks it's away. The 0-1. Makes it 0-2.
They started him with a slider. Backdoor slider right on the outside corner. Comes back with a good fastball. Also away from him.
Opponents have 1 hit against Green this year when he's ahead of the count. 1. He's up 0-2. Ground ball to Hicks. Up to the chest. To end the game. Mariners leave him loaded in the 9th inning. It's a 1-run win in game 1 by the Tigers.
And Iglesias' 2-run home run, just his 2nd home run on the year, turns out to be the difference in this ball game. So the Mariners going to get something to eat quickly